Welcome to Cody Brews. So today we're going to be making a sparkling apple cider. Now, I've never made one of these videos before, so I don't actually know what I'm doing. But I've seen a couple of videos, mostly, only by Cider, and they pretty much know what they talk about. This, apple juice, 1 gallon. You can use any apple juice, but what you want to do is avoid any kind of preservatives. Even from concentrate is fine. When I look at the ingredients on this, it says water, apple juice, concentrate. It's hard to find any apple juice that's not from concentrate unless you're getting like an apple cider. And ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is alright. It's vitamin C. They put it in drinks to retain its color over however many months it would be on a store shelf. Yeast will be perfectly fine with it. Another thing you'll need is sugar. Now usually you would use like a white sugar, maybe even a honey. I'm using brown sugar. Just to add a little extra flavor to it at the end. White sugar doesn't really add any kind of flavor, and I don't have a whole lot of honey. A couple other things that you'll add. Please forgive my unreadiness for this. I wasn't 100% sure that I was actually going to stream this or not. This should be it. Good. Stick of cinnamon. It's in here somewhere. There it is. And a couple of cloves. The fresher stuff you can get, the better, but it's only a few years old. I don't do that much baking. So, when you're making your brew, oh yeah, one last thing you'll need, yeast. Yeah. You can use Fleischmann's Active Dry or really any kind of bread yeast. It'll work perfectly fine. I'm going to use this Performance Ale yeast. I don't actually know much about it, besides it's from Lalvin, and I like Lalvin, and it's done me pretty well in some other recent brews. Step one, I'm going to figure out the gravity of this. That's how much sugar is in this per gallon. You're going to want a beaker, and hydrometer. Oh, and also a wine thief. I do not have a wine thief, so I'm using standard turkey baster. I only use this for brewing, so nothing to worry about there. So, crack her open. Now everything in here has been sanitized in my silver sink of sanitization. So this is going to be perfectly fine putting in here. Now I have no idea what gravity this juice is going to be. I've never actually made a brew with juice before. But I'm guessing it will be around 1035 or 1040. Looks like a little over 1040. I'm going to call that 1042. So that wasn't too far off. I'm just going to pour this right... Actually, let's not pour this right back in there right away, because we need to hydrate that yeast. again, sanitized. So what we're going to do, put a little bit of juice in here. 1040 is a perfectly good starting gravity. It would cost, but for carbonating it in the bottles, and also so it's a little bit sweet because I don't want anything too dry. We know sugar is about 46 points of gravity per pound per gallon. I'm going to use a half-ish pound. Got my scale here. Got my sanitized fermenter. Actually, there's still a little bit of sanitizer in there. Okay. Set that on the scale. Tar it out. Grab the funnel, which I also need to sanitize. Yeah, I was not prepared for this. Set the funnel on there, tar it out again because I forgot the funnel will add just a tiny bit of weight. Some kind of scoop. Yes, even this towel is a little bit sanitized. You probably seen me wiping my hands on it. It's covered in sanitizer. So now, just add the sugar to about half a pound. There's 1 ounce stuck in there. I might have not thought this through completely, like everything else that I'm doing here. There's 2 ounces. Let's see if I can melt some of this sugar down. Now when you're using a funnel, you want to raise it up just the tiniest bit in your fermenter, just to allow air to escape around it. There we go. This would be a lot easier with white sugar, just saying. Brown sugar clumps up a little bit. Oh, right. I'm going to throw off my own reading. Okay, it was at 10 or 2.2-ish. So remember what you're at, and then tar it out afterwards. There's another 2.5, so that's 4.8-ish. 3.3, so 5.5. Actually, I kind of want to go for a full 12 ounces with this. See, this is what happens when you just have that sitting on there. No air can escape around it. Raise it up. Flows a lot easier. You don't have the water constantly trying to bubble up through the only hole that's in there. I'm sure I'm going to have a certain brewer friend that's going to be watching this at some point, and to him, I am very sorry. Got 1 chunk of sugar left in here. That does not want. There we go. Alright. Done with this for the time being, so I'm just going to slam that in sanitizer. That way, I don't think I need the spoon anymore. Now, since I have about 1/3 of this filled unintentionally, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cap it off Most people use a bung. I have this fancy little plastic lid thing that just screws over my carboys. Kind of like it over a bung, but I have no idea how to search for it, and I only got the one. What you want to do, make sure you cover your bung hole. And shake the devil out of it. Occasionally take your finger off the thumb hole to relieve any pressure. What this also does is help oxygenate your brew, because your yeast need that oxygen in there to start a colony. However, once you start fermenting, you really don't want to add any more oxygen, or else you'll have the risk of vinegar. I already got enough apple cider vinegar. And when you're mixing, you occasionally want to flip the bottle over, make sure there's no sugar stuck to the bottom of it. I still got a little bit left. That's good enough. I'm going to be shaking again later. Get that. Pop that in the liquid. Dry. Now this is when I'm going to add my seasonings. We got clove. You do not need very much of this. One. Find a good one that's not just a stem. Two. That might even be too much. Stick of cinnamon. Just like that. This will all be coming out once you rack it to bottle it. Now you can already see that brown sugar made a hell of a color difference. So now we're just going to pour the rest of this in here. This is a gallon of juice and a gallon carboy, though these aren't exactly a gallon, so I'm going to assume it's going to reach about to here. Oop. Forgot to keep that lifted. Okay, I was a little bit off. A lot of it off. Okay, maybe this carboy is actually a gallon. Well, that's fine. This is not a disaster. I'm just going to take my wine thief and a fresh glass, because I'm going to want some headspace in that. Yes, brewing can be very messy. So either this is exactly a gallon, contrary to what I've heard from many carboys, or that juice is a little bit more than a gallon. I find that hard to believe. What am I going to do with this juice? I'm going to drink it, right off camera. Yeah, still got a little bit left in there. Just get rid of this jug. Now if you're really inclined, you just want to get in brewing, see if it's your thing, you can just brew the brew in the juice bottle. Doesn't have to be apple juice, it can be grape juice. If you use grape juice, I recommend some kind of Concord grape. I've heard good things about Welch's juice. You would just want to add, in that case you're not going to be very precise because you don't have a lot of the tools. Just add about maybe a cup of white sugar per a half-ish gallon. Add some bread yeast to that. Give it about 15 days. You'll have a perfectly drinkable wine. Now we got this all set up. This is when people would normally take a gravity reading. I've already got this juice aside with the yeast in it. It's going to be too young for the yeast to have actually made any alcohol yet, so it's not going to affect the gravity. The thing that's going to affect the gravity is there's no sugar in this, there's sugar in this. If I take just a reading of this, it's going to read a lot higher than it actually will be after I add this. Grab your funnel, your yeast, spill it all over the place. Now this is all, for all legal intents and purposes, this is alcohol because it has yeast in it. You would have to drink this whole thing to feel even a tiniest little buzz, if any at all, but it's legally alcohol. Grab your bung, plug your bung hole, give it a little bit of a shake. You just want to make sure that the juice that you just added plus the yeast is mixed in with the juice and sugar that we added in there earlier. Make sure everything's all nice and homogeneous. Yes, I have a mess on my counter. I don't know if you can see that or not, but whatever. Alright. Beaker. Wine thief. Hydrometer. I'm going to guess that after I add the sugar it's going to be about 1065. That might even still be a little bit low for me, but we'll see. Is it floating? It's floating. No, it's actually like right where I want it. 7273. Looks like it's settling at 1072. That's perfect for me. Most people, mostly commercial brewers, would throw away this sample. Everything's sanitized, so I'm just gonna do that. Some people would even drink it, but I've already got some super sweet apple juice aside because I didn't plan ahead. From here, we got our bung. Now you're probably wondering why the bung had a hole in it in the first place. Well, I will show you as soon as I pull it out of the sanitizer. And get sanitizer liquid everywhere because of some kind of weird Venturi effect. Airlock. Once gases come out, nothing can go back in. That easy. Once the yeast starts brewing, it's going to have plenty of CO2 and it's going to push out gas. You do not want oxygen to get back in here. That's why you want something to cover it up in the first place. Airlock also keeps bugs, bacteria, fruit flies, that kind of stuff from getting into the brew. It's going to kill it before anything gets sucked in. And it also lets you know if your yeast is actually working. From here I can already see there's a little bit of pressure building up and it's pushing the liquid down in the middle and out. There's really no noticeable difference between these three pieces and the S-types. This is just the one I had handy. Brew's ready. What do we do now? Give it about a week. shake it up every day, make sure everything's all nice and stirred up in there. Give it a gravity reading. If it reaches the preferred gravity, I'm probably going to go about 10, 20. I'll figure that out off camera. From there, put it in a different vessel, rack it off the lees. I'll show you some lees later. There will be another part to this. Then you'll bottle it. Let it carbonate in the bottles. Pasteurize those bottles to kill the yeast and such. And then, well, you'll want to wait a couple of days after you bottle it because you want that carbonation to build up. Then you pasteurize the bottles, and you got your sparkling apple cider. Stay tuned for more in probably a week, maybe a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. Who really knows? This yeast might actually be dead. Didn't look like it was, but see you later.